Okay, good morning, everybody. Can everybody see my screen right now? Okay, very good. Welcome to today's session of Dragon. We are going to have a webinar and talk about the basics of using the Dragon dictation software. So, as I have mentioned earlier, we're going to be doing a two-part presentation or a two-part webinar. Half of it is going to be a PowerPoint presentation to walk us over the different functionalities, and the second half will consist of a demo of the Dragon dictation software. Okay, so let's get started with Dragon. So basically, what Dragon is basically, we're going to discuss, the benefits of using Dragon, making sure that we use it efficiently, especially since we're teaching this to the providers that we are assisting and supporting. We want to make sure that they get to use it in a very efficient manner, and we are also going to discuss how to use macros, or some providers like to call it templates. It's like creating shortcuts, and basically what it is, just to give you an overview, is it's like, if they're used to using a template, for example, for a general physical exam, they could create a template for a general physical exam, and it could be, 5 paragraphs long, and with a command of 2 or 3 words, they could easily paste that and edit it, on the fly or as they go along. Okay. So, just to give you an idea, for those who have not seen or have not used Dragon, Dragon is a real time, or Dragon naturally speaking, as new ones, the manufacturer of the software likes to call it. That's the trade name. It is a real time speech recognition software or program that works with any Windows based or Citrix or EHR system for efficient report completion and easy navigation of adoption of the EHR. So basically, it works with any EHR, just like Allscripts, Enterprise EHR, and any other EHR products that we have out there. And just to give some of the benefits of using Dragon, the first benefit that I always highlight to any practice that currently uses a transcription service is that it reduces the transcription costs. So, as for those of you who know or who have experience, practices, or even doctors who have been using transcription service, usually they have to pay either per line, or it depends on the type of the contract that they have, in terms of the service for the transcriptionist. So they will definitely reduce the cost, because when they buy Dragon usually, as a software, and the only cost to them is pretty much the cost of the software and the initial setup, which means, us guys, coming in to help them out set up the software. And once, they had, spent time setting this up and training Dragon to make sure that it recognizes their voice properly, then pretty much they don't have, carrying costs as compared to getting a transcription service. And another benefit to that is it shortens the turnaround time. So basically, with a transcription service, there's called an SLA, or a service level agreement, where turnaround time could be 24 hours, could be 4 hours, could be 6 hours, or 12 hours. So there's no turnaround time. They don't have to wait for the dictations to come back. They can see it real time as they do their dictations on their notes, or on any other software that they might want to use their dictations with. And another benefit of Dragon is it supports a variety of workflows. So basically, we try to when we teach Dragon, or when we support Dragon, we try to make it work based on what kind of workflow a clinic or a provider currently has to suit their needs. So there's different ways that we can implement Dragon for use of a particular practice or a particular provider. And of course, that being said, It increases productivity because they're able, if for example, a doctor or a provider is more adept at dictation, they prefer dictating, especially the more senior doctors, they prefer to do dictations over typing. And one thing about dictation is usually, you know, and this probably works for everybody. When you speak, you actually speak faster than what you type. So basically, your flow of thought, you get to speak more. You can probably say one paragraph faster than typing, one paragraph. So basically, it increases their productivity because as opposed to typing, they can just dictate their notes or portions of their notes, and they would be able to basically complete their notes in a faster and more efficient way. It also improves quality because they are able to correct the mistakes. Because Dragon is real time, you are able to see the dictations right away. You will be able to quality. You yourself can be able to, or the user themselves can do their own quality check and make sure that everything is being captured accurately. And of course, the plus is it improves EHR adoption. As we all know, sometimes there are providers who may be hesitant to use the EHR because they are afraid to use the computer. They think they are not that computer literate. So with the dictation, it actually improves the adoption because especially if they're used to dictations when they work in their clinic or in the hospital, they are actually they actually get excited. They are fascinated that they're able to see the dictations in real time. And of course, bottom line is increases physician satisfaction when they when we introduce the concept of Dragon being used as a dictation option as opposed to the transcription service. And the next thing that we're going to discuss is how does Dragon work. Now basically, a lot of users are like what I said, they're surprised, they're amazed by the accuracy of Dragon, but of course uh, you have to spend time. Basically, the initial setup can take, anywhere from about 20 minutes, which is what I usually tell most providers is they have to block off at least 20 to 30 minutes of their time and, do the initial training or setup to make sure that Dragon captures their voice accurately. Now, Dragon's accuracy is about 99%, and Dragon works by basing its decisions on three key components. The first one being the acoustic model. It's a mathematical model of the sound patterns of your language. The second one is vocabulary. It's a list of words, each with a text and pronunciation representation. And the third one being the language model, it's a statistical analysis associated with a vocabulary that describes the likelihood of words and sequences occurring in your speech. So basically, when we do that initial setup, they will be asked to read a series of paragraphs. It may have something to do with medical reports, and basically that's the way of the software to capture, the voice patterns of a specific user. So to get started, once we have the software installed, and in most cases when we work with our clients like in MFA and AMG, most of the clinics who are on Go Live should have Dragon pre-installed. Otherwise, we would usually request their IT department to set it up. And just in addition, for those working on the MFA and AMG projects, and we will discuss this in detail a little bit later as we go along the training, because there are basically two types of setups. There's the enterprise and the standalone version, which we will be discussing in detail once we get to that portion. So basically, once we have the software installed, we will be prompted to run the new user wizard to create and customize a set of user files or a user. Now, these files contain information about your voice and vocabulary. So the new user wizard will walk us through the process of creating or adding that new user. Now, the user profiles, allow multiple users to use Dragon, and this is what I was talking about with the enterprise version. So multiple users can use it at the same time on a specific terminal, and they Dragon will understand the speech styles and timbre of each individual user using it. If you are using the enterprise profile, which I have mentioned, you must choose your profile each time you access Dragon. So basically, what that means is you'll have to choose your user profile every time you open up the application. Now, in the case, like what I said, of MFA and AMG, because every provider's computer has Dragon installed on their computers, we don't have to choose their profiles because it's a standalone individual software. It's not the enterprise version that they're using for MFA. So basically, when they open up Dragon, this is the first screen that they're going to see the first time that you open Dragon after it gets installed. It's called the user profile. Typically, we will ask the doctor to type in their name, and usually it's their first name and last name or whatever they prefer. And usually there's a language option there. It's US English, there's British English there, or standard English. We typically just leave everything as a default. Now, as you can see, there's also an accent general. We typically leave that as a default, but we encounter sometimes doctors who are maybe from India or from South Asia, for example. There is actually an Indian accent, and there's even a British accent that's built into the user profile. So depending on what type of user accent they have, and they would usually gauge whether they are good enough as far as having a general accent. We usually just like to keep it in general. Now, the next one is the dictation source, and usually that's the microphone that's plugged in, or the mic in jack. For those who are on the MFA and AMG projects, usually they have what's this it's a stand-up mic that's installed. I think it's a Logitech mic. However, I did hear, it's not yet certain, but I think I heard from Margot about 2 weeks ago that they're trying to get new microphones or better microphones for MFA. So hopefully that it. From what she said, they tested it on two doctors, and it's a lot more accurate than the ones that they have uh, installed or deployed in most of the AMG practices right now. Now, the next one is vocabulary, and we would usually put it under general medical. Now, because I have a PowerPoint presentation, I can't click on the drop down, but typically this is where you would choose the specialty. So if they are internal medicine, you will just click on the vocabulary drop down and click on internal medicine or family medicine, or depending on what type of specialization they do actually have. Okay. And of course, initial training. This is a very important part of the process of the initial setup. We should never choose none, and this is because if you choose none, then we were going to skip that part where Dragon will try to recognize the speech patterns of the user. So let's go to the next screen. So after we click on next on that user profile part, we're gonna get to this new user wizard screen where it's gonna ask us to choose our sound system. Typically, this is the headset or the microphone that is usually installed. In MFA and AMG, I see something like an AK570, which is just the microphone name. I guess that's the trade name of the microphone, and it's usually the first option that comes up on the sound system. That's what we choose in MFA. But if we work with other practices, we will just typically use whatever microphone they have installed, whether it's a Logitech USB headset or it could be a dictaphone. It's one of those microphones. It looks like a microphone. It's a handheld microphone that